I flew to a foreign country that I had never been to in my entire life and went under the knife. Was that dramatic enough? I wanted a dramatic intro. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a really fun one. We're talking about my nose job. I went to Istanbul, Turkey and got a nose job about 5 weeks ago. So I am 5 weeks post-op today and I want to tell you guys all about it, where exactly I went, how much it cost, who my surgeon was, all the tips and tricks that I've learned along the way, and show you my nose. This video is pretty much going to be in chronological order. That's a hard word to say. So it's gonna start, you know, from point A of figuring out that I wanted a nose job in the first place to where I am now and what I've learned along the way. And I've got a notebook that outlines everything I need, so bear with me because it's a long one. All right, so let's talk about where exactly I went to get a nose job. So I went through a company called Longevita. I hope that's how you pronounce it. I don't know if it's Longevita or Longevita, but basically how I found them was I have a friend who has a lot of friends that have gotten plastic surgery, and I asked her if she knew anybody that had gotten a nose job that was mildly affordable. Her friend ended up recommending that I go through a company called Longevita. Her friend had gone through this company and had gotten a nose job and she absolutely loved her results and said that it was an amazing experience. So I ended up looking up Longevita on the internet, did my research, looked at their Instagram, looked at all of their kind of case studies, that's not the word, testimonials, is that the word? And decided to reach out to them via WhatsApp. Longevita's base office is in London, and then they do their actual surgeries through Turkey, Istanbul, Turkey. So the offices in London kind of help you, talk you through everything, set you up, and then once everything is scheduled, you are flying out to Turkey. So I ended up messaging Longevita, their representatives, and I went back and forth. I sent them pictures of my nose. I sent them pictures of what I wanted my nose to look like. And they basically sent me back whatever information I needed, and we ended up booking a date. What's really cool about going through a company like Longevita, and by the way, this isn't sponsored or anything by Longevita. There's multiple companies that do what Longevita does. I just chose to go through them. They give you a package deal, like for your surgery. So when you're discussing cost with Longevita, they're including in the cost that they give you, you know, for me, it was like 11 days in a beautiful hotel, the actual surgery, a translator, transportation to and from the airport. I paid a little bit extra for transportation to and from all of my hospital and doctor's appointments just because I wanted like to be set with all of that stuff. The only thing you're not paying in the package deal is for your flight. So with literally everything included other than flight, I was quoted about $3,000. So yeah, I was quoted about $3,000, which was absolutely mind-blowing to me because in the United States, it's like 12 times that. So I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then doing more research and everything, obviously when you hear a really low price for something that you're used to hearing really high prices for, and also you factor in the foreign country aspect, it's kind of horrifying, and a little piece of your mind is like, am I gonna be sold into like human trafficking? Like, is this legit? But I did my research, and I recommend very highly for you guys to do your research, and it was super legit, and I really liked Longevita, and yeah, basically that is how I ended up going to Longevita, and that is how much I paid for everything. Again, around $3,000 for hotel, transportation, and the actual surgery. I ended up paying extra to bring my grandmother with me because I didn't want to go alone. So I think originally it would have honestly been less than $3,000. I think I was originally quoted like $2,300 or $2,400, and then I paid the extra money to get a hotel room with 2 beds instead of 1 because I didn't want to go alone. So depending on if you want to go alone or not, you're gonna look at a price between $2,000 to $3,000. But again, for everything. All right, let's get into pre-op. So I flew to Turkey, you know, crazy, but I was like really excited. I had people pick me up at the airport. They hold up a sign so you know that they're there for you. We got to the hotel. It was a gorgeous hotel, and we just relaxed. You're assigned a representative. Longevita like provides you with somebody that you're kind of talking to the entire time. So I was talking to my representative, and they let me know what my appointment times were for the next day. The day after landing, I had to go to the hospital and get a COVID test, and I had to get my blood drawn just to make sure that I was okay to go under, because with a rhinoplasty, you are going under anesthesia. So they had to make sure that, you know, my blood, everything was right. I'm not a doctor. I don't know the exact things they were testing for, but they were just making sure that I was good to go. After that, I kind of relaxed that day. You can't eat, I think it was 8 hours before your surgery. You're not supposed to eat or drink anything. So I was just kind of chilling for the day. Let's talk about actual surgery day. Okay, so I got to the hospital on surgery day. I think I got there at around 9 a.m. You have your own room. Like, you have your room, you have your own bed, and then if you have a guest, they kind of have a makeshift bed for your guest. I felt bad. My grandmother had to like sleep on this like chair cot thing, and it didn't look super comfortable. But at the end of the day, they have a bed for you and your guest. The nurses put the IV in my arm. I hate needles, so that was honestly the worst part out of all of it. And I'm gonna get to it in a little bit, but the IV was, oh my God. They helped you get dressed. You put compression socks on, which helps prevent blood clots, I believe. So they help you put on these really long compression socks. And while I'm talking, I'm gonna insert clips and pictures of this time frame. So I have clips and pictures of me surgery day, and then, you know, the entire week healing and whatnot. Yeah, they put my IV in, I had my robe on, and then they rolled me out of the room. As I was being rolled out of the room to get to the surgery room, they injected some sort of sleepy drug. I don't really know what it was. It wasn't anesthesia, but it was something to kind of get me sleepy before I even got the anesthesia. So I remember they injected that, rolled me into an elevator, and then I remember not much, to be so honest with you. I literally remember getting rolled into this elevator, getting downstairs, because they do the surgeries downstairs, getting rolled into the surgery room. I remember there being like 6 or 7 people there. I remember not seeing my surgeon, and then I literally remember being out. I literally remember a minute tops of being in the surgery room, and then I was conked. By the time I woke up, I was being rolled into my hospital room, and they were helping me kind of get out of my little rolly bed and back into my actual bed. I was very groggy. I was very out of it. It was like waking up from like a 24-hour sleep. That's kind of what it felt like. The second I woke up, I had like really brutal throat pain. When you're under the anesthesia and the surgery is actually going on, they have a tube down your throat so that you can breathe or to assist with oxygen. So when you wake up, like your throat is so dry from that tube being down it. All you want is water, and they don't give you water right away. Like, you're not allowed to have any. All I wanted was water so bad. I think it has something to do with them not wanting you to throw up and potentially like the anesthesia causing nausea. But yeah, your throat's gonna be dry. The second I woke up, I already had 2 black eyes. I am a bruiser, I'm a sweller, I am all of that. So I've seen so many girls like get through their recovery with barely any bruising. That is not me, and you will see it in the pictures and videos to follow. I am unwell when it comes to those things. So yeah, the second I woke up, I already had 2 black eyes. I wasn't swollen yet, but my eyes were literally like purple. When it came to pain on surgery day, to be so completely honest, like I was not in pain. I would say the most pain I was feeling was in my IV, but the actual pain from my nose was maybe a 2 out of 10. It's really just a discomfort. Like everybody says, it really is like pressure. It's like having a really bad sinus infection, or like just being super stuffed up and then taking that and multiplying it by like 2 or 3. Because not only are you stuffed up from the actual surgery, you're also stuffed up physically. Like you have some sort of mold or cushion. My doctor literally called it a nose tampon. I don't know if that was just a language thing because his first language is obviously Turkish, but yeah, he told me I had like plastic tampons shoved up my nose with holes in the middle so that I could breathe. Sweetie, nobody's breathing out of their nose in the first day, in the first week, let me tell you. I also had pretty much no appetite whatsoever. They started to feed me, I think 2 hours after I woke up, and the food is really easy to eat. It's like soups and really soft things, and you need to try to eat like, if you are getting a nose job and you have absolutely no appetite, you need to try to get something down. It's not easy because you can't really breathe through your nose, so you're eating, but you can't breathe, so you feel like you're suffocating while you're eating. And also on top of that, you're not hungry and all you want to do is sleep, but you need to try to get something down. I was taking little bites here and there, but it really wasn't much. That original quote that Longevita gives you, like in the price you're paying for everything, you're also staying at the hospital for 1 night. So the day you get your surgery, you are staying at the hospital for 24 hours. Unfortunately, my IV ended up getting infiltrated, so the pain meds and everything that they were giving me was not entirely going into my bloodstream. My grandmother is a nurse, and that is why I brought her. So she was the one that noticed that my IV got infiltrated or was infiltrated. My arm started to get really swollen and really hard to the touch, and it was really, really painful. I remember when they were flushing out my IV, it literally felt like 5 million knives searing up my arm. My grandmother and I were trying to tell the nurse, like, it's infiltrated, or, you know, it's going into my skin and not my vein, or it's going into, you know, it's going somewhere it shouldn't be. The medication is not going where it needs to be. By the time they finally took the IV out of my arm, it had been in my arm and infiltrated for hours and hours and hours, because this was the next morning from my surgery. So my arm was, it was in so much pain. And then they ended up trying to put the IV back in. So my IV started here. It was infiltrated. My arm was so swollen and in pain. They took it out the next morning. They put it here. It became infiltrated again pretty much immediately. They could tell it was infiltrated. And then they ended up putting it here. This one hurt so bad I literally cried. It was the first time I cried. Basically, yeah, that was the most painful experience out of the entire week of recovery, first week of recovery, if that makes you feel better. So if your IV doesn't get infiltrated, like, girl, you are soaring, flying. There's not a star in heaven that you can't reach, babe. All right, let's get into my first week of recovery, because it is no joke. I'm gonna tell you guys right off the bat, the first week of recovery, the first like 4 days is literally no joke, especially if you're doing this somewhere not at home. And it's not because it's painful by any means, it's because it's just hard on you mentally. Like especially if you're somebody that swells, like the hardest part about this entire thing is getting through those first 4 to 5 days. If you can get through those first 4 to 5 days, like, you've made it, babe. Like, even the recovery is a year long. Those first 4 days feel like 4 years. Like, I remember laying in the bed in my hotel room and being like, I'm never gonna recover. Like, I'm never gonna get through this week. There's no way. It's just hard on you. You know what I mean? You're swollen, you're bruised, you have a cast, you can't breathe through your nose, you're in a foreign country. Even though the hotel is literally beautiful, like, you don't have like those comforts that you have at home to get through something like this. So, okay, so day 1, I was super swollen, super groggy. I honestly slept through the first 2 days. Like, that didn't make it not difficult, but I was pretty much awake for an hour, asleep for 2 to 3. Awake for an hour, asleep for 2 to 3. I've seen a lot of people say that sleeping was really, really hard the first week. I couldn't stop sleeping the first like 3 to 4 days. Lots of bruising. Day 2, I started to notice that my swelling was moving downwards. So as you can see in these pictures, I literally look like an alien. I look like I could be on Lilo and Stitch on a foreign planet. Like, I look unwell because I was unwell, okay? So my eyes were like bug-eyed. I was so swollen. I remember praying that my eyes were not gonna swell shut. They did not ever swell completely shut. So my swelling started up here and was moving down. So you're gonna see in the progression pictures here, I start with being really swollen here, and then I end up turning into a chipmunk because the swelling goes to my jaw, and then it goes kind of down to my neck. So I've got a little bit of a double, triple chin situation. So day 2 was when I really started to notice that was happening. And I noticed that my bruising went from my eyes to my cheeks, but it was just yellow. So it looked like I had jaundice, babe. Like, I had a yellow face. Day 3, you know, day 4, all of these kind of days, it was pretty much just a progression of watching the swelling move down, watching the bruising move down. I was on pain medication, but they didn't give any like crazy pain medication. They pretty much just gave me like extra strength Tylenol in a way. It was like not the brand Tylenol, but that's kind of what they gave me. So I was on like an extra strength painkiller. I was on an antibiotic to make sure that nothing got infected and everything stayed, you know, clean and healing the way it was supposed to. Day 4, I think, was the first day that I started actually eating. Like, I really wasn't eating much. I think by the end of the week, I had lost like 4 pounds. I think within 8 days, I lost like 4 pounds because I truly was not eating. I was trying, but I had zero appetite. I would take like 4 bites and be done. Day 4, 5 was around the time where I actually started eating full meals again. Day 6 was the first day I had like an actual full meal. Also, what I was dealing with this entire week was upper lip stiffness. Like, when they kind of go in and like mess around with your nose, they kill some nerves. These nerves are only temporarily damaged. Like, I promise you, you will get feeling back around your lip. But for that first week, you cannot move your lip. And I'll show you in pictures and videos I think I took. I could not smile. I could not emote. I literally remember smiling and it looking like I couldn't move my lip. It was, and I was petrified. Like, I was like, wow, it's gone. Like my feeling in my lip is gone. And then, you know, day 6, day 7, a lot of my bruising and swelling had gone down. I still had bruising, and I definitely still had swelling, but compared to the first couple of days, it was like a walk in the park. Day 8, I got my cast off. I've seen people get their cast off on day 5. I've seen most people get their cast off on day 7. I got my cast off on day 8, and let's get into cast off day because I need to warn you guys about what's gonna happen. Today is cast off day. I get my cast off in like 2 hours. Day, vlogging. Day 7 post-op, 8 days since surgery. Yeah. When you get your cast off, please do not create a mindset for yourself that you are gonna get your cast off and look in the mirror and you're gonna be like, I'm obsessed. I have a Barbie nose. I am so in love with my nose. Wow, it's amazing. That is not what it's like. And as long as you don't go into it with that mindset, you're gonna be okay. Here's the mindset I need you to go into on cast off day. My nose is gonna look like a potato. My nose is gonna be swollen. This is not the nose that I'm going to have. I am not going to be happy with the results when the cast comes off. If you go in with this mindset, you're gonna be fine. When I took my cast off, I was actually shocked. It was way smaller than I thought it was gonna be. Not in the sense of like, it was smaller than I wanted my final result to be, but in the sense of like, it was less swollen than I thought it was gonna be. But I will tell you from the front, I remember looking in the mirror and immediately like my heart sank. Like I was like, oh, I look crazy. Like I look like a pig. Like I look nuts. This is horrifying. But I also knew, I went in with the mindset of like, this is not my nose. You know what I mean? So I knew that I wasn't gonna like it. So that kind of made me feel better. And I was obsessed with the side profile immediately when the cast came off. So literally he took the cast off. I looked in the mirror for maybe a minute. And then I was like, okay, that's all I need to see, because I didn't want to obsess over it. After I looked at myself in the mirror for about a minute, I laid back down. He had like a little bed, and him and an assistant taped my nose down. This is kind of like a second cast. Oh, let's talk about getting your splints taken out. Like whatever they put in your nose gets taken out on cast out day, and oh, it is an experience, okay? It's not painful, but it does feel like they're pulling something out of your brain, and I'm not saying that to scare you, but like, I'm just trying to prep you. Like, it feels like they are pulling something out of your literal brain. You're not supposed to move when they do it either. Like my surgeon was like, don't move. And I was like, it was so traumatizing, but it wasn't painful. I just need you to, it's not painful, I promise. Or even if it is painful, it is barely painful. So you're gonna get through it, babe. Like you're gonna be just fine. And then getting the actual cast off also doesn't hurt. They literally take like this tiny little metal tool and like very slowly kind of pry the cast off, and you're fine. Like that part doesn't hurt at all. And then basically, you know, from the time I got home at a week post-op to now, it's pretty much been relatively smooth sailing. Let's talk about the first month of recovery and things that I've done and things that I've noticed, and all of that fun stuff. So my surgeon told me to massage my nose every single day for about 10 minutes, you know, 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, or, you know, 2 minutes every couple of hours. I am gonna insert a clip of kind of how I massage my nose because it is kind of tied to how I tape my nose. I have been taping my nose every single night for the last month. I find that it helps with swelling. I use this tape right here. So this is the tape that I use. I got it off Amazon. I think it came in a pack of like 4. And I think that an entire roll got me through like a month. So, you know, you buy 1 pack for like $10, not even, and it's gonna get you through like the first 4 months of your kind of recovery process. So I've been massaging my nose every single day. I usually do it in the morning when I take my tape off, and then I'll do it at night when I'm taking my makeup off because as you can see in the video, it's just easier because I'm already using oils, or I'm using, you know, like cleansing balms, and that kind of really helps with like the gliding process of massaging my nose. A month into post-op, I still can't really breathe through my nose, so I'm gonna show you what it sounds like when I try to breathe in through my nose. That's so sad. Okay. So it's not perfect. There are days where I can breathe great out of one nostril and not great out of the other, and vice versa. It really just depends on the day. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I can hear it, so it bothers me. I sound very nasally. I was told that the ability to breathe through my nose would kind of start to develop a month in. I've seen other people say it takes like 3, so I'm not scared, like I'm not rushing. I definitely do notice, and again, I don't think you guys are really gonna be able to notice the way that like I am over analytical, that one nostril is a little bit smaller than the other, and I have found it more difficult to breathe through that nostril. So let me show you guys what my nose looks like a month post-op. I probably should have done this without makeup on, so like contouring wouldn't have affected the look, but I think you guys will pretty much be able to see what it looks like. So let me get pretty close. So this is my nose from the front. This is my nose from like this side. There is a little bit of a bump like right here developing. I asked my surgeon about this, and he told me that basically what he did was took cartilage from parts of my nose that didn't need the cartilage and diced it up like a tomato. Like diced up this cartilage and then took the diced cartilage and molded it to create the shape that is in my bridge now. So he said that out of all of the cartilage that is kind of sitting there now, only 30% of it is going to remain. It's kind of going to disintegrate over time with like the way my nose is healing, and it's going to eat away at a little bit of it and blah, 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 blah. Only 30% of the diced up cartilage is going to remain in a year when my nose is done healing. So he said that when there's lumps and bumps developing or kind of popping up, it's that diced up cartilage, and it will probably end up going down. Even if it doesn't end up going down, I don't mind this bump. It is so tiny, but like obviously when you get a nose job, you're gonna be over analytical. So like I said, this is this side. This side is like my bad side. It's kind of where I can see like the lumpiness the most, but this angle, that's from the left. Hopefully you guys can see. And then back to the front. This is my good side. Sorry, my nose has gotten really oily after the nose job. So this side, this angle, back to the front, and then I'm gonna show you guys my nostrils. As you can see, this is my incision mark. I'll probably start putting scar cream on that. There's 2 types of nose jobs you can get. You can get a closed nose job or an open nose job, and basically what that means is an open one is when they kind of cut around your nose, peel the skin back, do what they need to do, and then close it back up. A closed nose job is when they go in through the nostrils. They don't do any incisions, and then they kind of do everything through the nostrils and then come back out. I had an open nose job, and I think for an open nose job, the fact that he literally only cut right here is amazing. So the tip, as you can also see, the tip is very bulbous and swollen. It takes the tip of your nose the longest to heal out of everything. So your tip is gonna be swollen for at least like the first 6 months. So I'm just kind of trying to love my little swollen bulbous tip until she comes down. I'm gonna insert a picture right here or somewhere on the screen of what my nose looked like on the surgical table when I had finished with surgery, because my surgeon did take a picture. So this is what my nose looked like right after the surgery, and I ended up photoshopping a picture of my old nose next to my surgical table nose, my surgery table nose. So I'm also gonna insert that picture that will literally show you my old nose and my new nose. Before I got my nose job, I was getting nose filler for 5 years. I started getting nose filler when I was, I think, 21, 22. I'm 26 now. What I didn't like about my nose personally, because I know a lot of people are gonna be like, you didn't need a nose job, blah, 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 blah. I don't think a lot of the times it's a need. A lot of the times it is a want, unless you're getting a septoplasty because you can't breathe through your nose. I wanted a nose job. I did not need a nose job. So what I didn't like about my nose personally, and I will insert clips of my old nose, was that I had a hump here, like I had a dorsaling in my nose, and I had a droopy tip. My surgeon said when looking at it that I didn't have a lot of support in the tip, which is why it drooped so much. I also had a very wide nose from the front, so when I wasn't emoting, my nose wasn't very wide, but when I smiled, my nose would flatten out and widen out, and it took up so much of my face. So it would be really skinny up here and then would fatten out down here when I smiled, and I didn't like that at all. I ended up having my surgery with Dr. Jacob Duman. I think it's Jacob. I've seen some people pronounce it Jakob, but like all of the people pronounced it Jacob, like in the hospitals and stuff, so I think it's okay. I think it is Jacob, or at least translates to Jacob. Anyways, he taped my nose down, and he basically said leave this tape on it for 2 weeks and then take it off and you don't have to tape your nose anymore. I had watched so many nose job videos, and almost every single video people were told to tape their nose for 2 to 3 months. So I knew in the back of my head like I was going to tape my nose at least at night for a month or two, because I just heard it helped with swelling. So even though my surgeon did tell me I didn't have to do that, I wanted to, so I did. So I left that tape on my nose, went home, flew home. I had no issues. He did warn me that I could potentially have a nosebleed on the plane because of pressure. I did not have a nosebleed on the plane. I was perfect and dandy, and I was so happy. My surgeon was Jacob Duman, and before meeting him, I did have Longevita send over a file of his work so that I could actually look at his work, because basically how they kind of did it was they were like, okay, this is your surgeon. And I know a lot of people say like, research a ton of different surgeons, make sure you're picking the right surgeon for you, talk to a bunch of different surgeons. I didn't do it that way, and I would not recommend doing it the way I did it. Like, I would recommend talking to a bunch of surgeons. I really took a leap of faith and just kind of trusting Longevita. But basically they were like, your surgeon is Jacob Duman. And I said, okay. And then a couple of weeks later, I was like, I should probably actually look at this guy's work before I let him literally break my nose and like put it back into place. So I ended up asking for a file of his work. They sent me over a file. I looked at some of his pictures of what he's done. I did really like a lot of his results. Then I ended up finding him on Instagram. He does not have a very prolific Instagram, so to speak. He does not have a lot on his Instagram when I found him. I went full creep mode and full stalker mode and ended up finding him on there, and I think he had a couple extra pictures that the file didn't have, and I really liked his results on there too. So I was okay with it. I was okay with the surgeon they recommended for me. And then when I met him, he was a gem. Like, this doctor was so cool, so funny, like had a great sense of humor. Like, I joke when I'm nervous, so I was sitting there throwing jokes out left and right, and he was taking them, throwing them back. Like, we were having a great old time. What I really liked about Dr. Jacob Duman, oh, I feel really bad if I'm not pronouncing his name right, but what I really liked about my surgeon was he was not gonna just give me the nose I asked for. He was going to work with me to figure out a nose that was going to fit my face. I basically said to my surgeon, like, this is what I want. I showed him a bunch of pictures, but I said, but I also want you to do what's going to fit my facial features. I didn't realize at the time, but what I wanted was a slope nose, but I didn't want like a super slopey nose. So like, I was showing him pictures of what I wanted, thinking like it was a straight nose, and he was like, this is a slope nose. He recommended that I go for kind of a straighter nose for my facial features, and he also recommended that we don't go too small. He said, a Barbie nose is not gonna look good on your face. I know a lot of girls come in here and they're like, I want a Barbie nose. Like, and I was saying to him, like, I don't really want a Barbie nose. I just want, you know, an uplifted tip, not too uplifted, and I want a tiny, 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 tiny slope. I don't want a ski slope nose. I want it to be pretty much a straight nose, but like the slightest slope. And I really do think he nailed that, because I feel like it's not crazy ski sloped. I would recommend, seriously, like, talking to your surgeon and being like, this is what I want, but from your professional opinion, what do you think would look good on me? Getting that second opinion and hearing somebody that literally studies facial, you know, structures and works on faces for a living, he or she might have a different, you know, opinion on what'll look good on you, and taking what you want into consideration and taking what the surgeon thinks will look best on you into consideration and kind of finding somewhere to meet in the middle, I think is going to have you end up with the best possible nose that you could end up with that is going to look the best on you. 1 month post-op, I have full upper lip mobility. I can smile, I can emote, I can move my mouth. That is amazing. I can smell. Obviously my nose is pretty stuffy, but I can smell everything. I have no issues there. I can blow my nose. You're not supposed to. I do blow my nose sometimes when I get really, really stuffy, but oddly enough, I only really get stuffy in my right nostril. Like, I'll have a lot of snot come out of my right nostril, but not much out of my left. But I do blow my nose, and I'm always pretty gentle with it. I never forcibly blow. I just softly blow, and whatever comes out, comes out. I'm cleaning my nose at night with a saline spray and a Q-tip. After my surgery, they provided me with this medicated Vaseline, so to speak. So I still have that, but you can use pretty much like any kind of medicated Vaseline, Aquaphor, whatever. They'll probably give you what you need. So, you know, every night I take my makeup off, I clean my nose with the saline spray, I take the Q-tips and I get in there, and then I take another clean Q-tip, I apply the medicated Vaseline, and I put that all in my nose. This is gonna help you with your stitches. My surgeon gave me dissolvable stitches, so sometimes when you're cleaning your nose, like a really, this is gross, but you're watching a nose job video, so you're prepared, I would hope. Like a stringy white booger will come out of your nose. It's not a booger, it's your stitches dissolving, so mixed with boogers. Delicious. So yeah, the Vaseline really does help with your stitches kind of dissolving. I had stitches in my incision mark, but I think that a lot of those were pretty much entirely dissolved by like the 2 to 3 week mark. My surgeon told me if your stitches don't dissolve by themselves, go to your primary care doctor and have them assist with removing them, but I did not have to do that. Something I definitely dealt with when I first took that tape off, you know, a week and a half after surgery, was nose pimples. I am one of those girls that, like, I love a skincare routine. Like, I have like a 12-step skincare routine. Obviously your skincare routine is kind of thrown off when you get a nose job, so you can't put 12 layers on your face. Like, your skin texture changes. Like, when I got the nose job, my nose became so oily, my skin started rejecting skincare. Like, I would literally put moisturizer on my forehead and my cheeks and it would peel off. Like, my skin texture was trippy for the first couple of weeks. So now my skin is kind of going back to normal, but I will tell you that you probably will be dealing with some crazy tiny little whiteheads, blackheads. All your nose is gonna be bumpy from like clogged pores. When you take that tape off, your nose like has been under a cast and under tape for weeks at that point. Like, it is gnarly, I'm not gonna lie to you. So do not pick at your nose, do not pop things on your nose. Like, I recommend non-physical exfoliants. So I'll take like a chemical exfoliant pad and I was rubbing my nose with it. I was putting skincare on my nose. I was letting my nose breathe. I was putting as little makeup as possible on my nose in the first 2 weeks to try to get those that acne kind of down off my nose. And now I just tape my nose at night, and I'm really good about cleaning my nose in the morning. Cleaning your nose and just being on top of that is really gonna help with the acne. Now, I mean, honestly, like, I have tiny little pimples, but kind of a life hack that I do to hide them is I use like the faux freckle product, and I will put little faux freckles where the tiny, because they're tiny little pimples. So I'll put the little faux freckles on the little tiny pimples, and it just looks like freckles. Like, I don't know if you can really tell right now. I don't have a ton of pimples on my nose, but that's kind of what I've been doing, and it's been chef's kiss. I'm gonna finish this video out with things that I think that you should buy before you get your nose job. So what I think that you definitely should buy before getting a nose job and bring with you to Turkey or wherever, if you're gonna get a nose job out of the country, these are things I definitely think that you should have. Tissues, self-explanatory. Q-tips, a ton of them. You're gonna need so many Q-tips. Like, you're constantly cleaning your nose. Saline spray, they're probably gonna give you saline spray, but you can just buy saline spray on Amazon as backups. Aquaphor and Vaseline, like I said. An airplane neck pillow. You have to sleep elevated for a while, and sometimes it's hard to do so with just pillows. One of those like soft airplane neck pillows is going to do you wonders. I was living in my grandmother's airplane neck pillow because I didn't bring one. Bring a zip up, bring multiple zip ups, or very, very oversized t-shirts, because you cannot put things over your head. It's not easy the first week of recovery. So it's something easy like a zip up that you can just bloop, you know, easy take off, easy put on. Lip balm, your lips are gonna get so dry because you are going to be a mouth breather. Like, girl, you cannot breathe out of your nose. I still cannot breathe out of my nose. I use, honestly, Aquaphor. I use like the Laneige lip balms, like these little Laneige lip balm thingies. I love these for my lips. Any sort of good quality lip balm that's gonna keep everything hydrated. Obviously, tape for your nose. When you are taping your nose, you cannot pull the tape off in the morning. It's going to pull the skin from your cartilage and your bones, and it's going to cause inflammation in between your nose and the tape. So it's gonna cause more swelling if you take it off incorrectly. And it is a pain in the butt to take the tape off in the morning. So I highly recommend getting a bandage or adhesive remover. I bought one on Amazon, I'm gonna show you. Okay, so I bought this Goo Gone for use on skin bandage and adhesive remover on Amazon. I think it was like $8 or $10. It is oil based, so even touching it now, I have oil on my fingers, but I highly recommend that product. I will literally like take a Q-tip, saturate the Goo Gone, I'll saturate my entire, like all the tape on my nose in the morning. I soak in that stuff, and then I take a tweezer and literally piece by piece, I will wait until one kind of starts to come up from the Goo Gone, grab it with a tweezer, take a Q-tip, soak it in the Goo Gone, and then slowly work my way under the bandage as I slowly peel. And it honestly made such a huge difference. I saw a couple people say like just get it wet in the shower. That doesn't help, because it will help kind of get it off, but it still is very difficult to get the tape off. And on top of that, once you actually get the tape off, there's still gonna be adhesive stuck to your nose. So I recommend getting a Goo Gone. It's a life changer. And then lastly, ice packs. You're gonna need ice packs 100%, like just with swelling. Honestly, it's kind of said that after the first 48 hours, ice packs aren't gonna make a huge difference, but for that first 48 hours, you need to be icing your face, babe. My camera's dying, so I'm gonna wrap this video up here, but that is pretty much my nose job experience up to now, you know, 1 month post-op. If you have any questions or need any additional information from me, comment below. I will answer all of the comments about it. You can DM me on Instagram. I've been talking to a couple of people that way about my nose job experience. And yeah, I hope this helped. And if you are in recovery, it gets better. And if you are about to get a nose job, good luck and you are gonna love it. And yeah, plastic surgery girly out.